This is Stars and Scopes with your friend Uma, updated every new and full moon with guidance based on planetary transits in the current sky and extra support from tarot. For accuracy, take a look at your rising sign first if you know it, and do feel free to listen to your sun, moon and rising if you'd like the full picture. If you're interested in your birth chart, check out the readings page at umaruby.com. And if you'd like to support the work, head over to buymeacoffee.com/umaruby and you can buy me a coffee. Finally, if you're a visual learner, look up Uma Ruby Tarot on YouTube and you can watch and learn. Okay, let's take a look. Hello Cancer and Cancer Rising. Welcome to your horoscope for the new moon in Virgo, happening on August the 27th at 6:17 p.m. if you're in the Southern Hemisphere with me. Virgo is earth. Virgo is clay. Virgo is grounding in a movable, shiftable, healing way. The sign of Virgo is ruled by Mercury, so it's about intellect and intelligence translated into the earth, into a state of malleability, if that makes any sense. We know a lot and we receive messages and intelligence, and as time goes by, that changes and that shifts, and it must do. You know, language moves with the culture. Language evolves. And that's something to really meditate on, I think, at this Virgo new moon for you, Cancer, because it's all playing out in your house of communication and of intelligence and of translation, how you put forward messages, how you receive information and how that is absorbed and wrapped up and moved around in your brain, and then how you put that forward and send it to others. The third house is about the village as well. So it is about localized environments. It can be to do with our brothers and sisters. It can be to do with our neighbors, our postcode. Very localized. But it's also really a lot about translation. If you think about Gemini, the sign, think about the twins, think about that relationship between one and the other, and the duality sometimes of the same truth, and the different perceptions and perspectives that one truth can be translated through. That could be one thing to think about at this new moon in Virgo for you, Cancer. I want you to call in and draw in and ask for a new way of articulation. And of course, it's going to be grounded in healing. For you, Cancer, that's how you translate information, is through your knowledge of the earth and your knowledge of plants and trees and Mother Nature. There's a second sight that you have, and there's a great, beautiful way of transference that you have access to that has a lot to do with this planet. So at this new moon, let's think about the way that you're expressing yourself. That's maybe more fifth house. Let's think about the way that you're translating what it is that you know into this space. And in that way, how does that heal? How does that help others? This is a great place if you've been feeling a bit tongue-tied or a bit sort of confused about what you're processing and how it is that you can sort of articulate that. This new moon might be a great moment for you to ask for clarity and to ask for the the guidance to push forward the message. That's the lunar energy. That's what we're working with in this dark night. You know, remember, at a dark night is the perfect time to I'm being caressed by my monstera. The perfect time to work with all of this stuff, you know. It's beautiful. And think about Virgo in terms of the tarot rather than maybe the Roman iconography. I know the archetype of Virgo is the virgin, the maiden. But I think as language evolves and as intelligence and information evolves with the culture, we can think about Virgo as an archetype, as something constructed, maybe. The idea of purity before invasion seems to be a concept that we can let rest in antiquity, I think. I think I'd like you to work with the energy of Virgo, work with that sort of earthen vibe, and look at the tarot. Look at the Hermit card. The Hermit is the figure that has drawn away from sociability for a time, that's drawn away from the milieu, that's drawn away from the common experience of life, to gain and work with the wisdom that they have absorbed over time from nature and from the universe, from the stars as well as the earth, and all of those mysteries. If you think of the image of the Hermit card in tarot, they're holding the lantern, which encapsulates, that holds within it the star. And the star is from a different planet. The star is Aquarius. We know Aquarius energy very well. They're from another planet. They know what's good for us. They know what the next stage, as we enter the age of Aquarius, they know what's good for us. And so the Hermit has access to this information and uses this as a guiding light to where they're going to go next. And also they put all of that information and all of that energy into their into their pestle and mortar. I was going to say mortar and, what was I going to say? Pestle, mortar, messel and porter. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean. They alchemize it and they grind it together and they form a healing salve for the collective, from their knowledge from the star, from their Aquarian energy. If you've got a lot of Aquarian placements, you need to understand that it is essential that you're here right now, because you've got all the answers for what's coming. So that energy is what I want you to work with when you think of Virgo. When you think of Virgo, think of the Hermit. Think of the wise one. Think of the one that needs to retreat in order to process what's going on. Great for the third house too. Great to take a moment away to process before we divulge or before we contribute again. So that's the lunation. The sun and the moon do find themselves again, we know square energy very well, that pressure between two separate planets. They're in a square with Mars, who has just entered Gemini, funnily enough. In your chart, Cancer rising, I'm speaking to specifically, Gemini rules your 12th house, which is the unconscious realm. It's our access to spirit. It's our access to ancestors, our greater knowledge, our past lives, who we were before, and our soul and its incarnation to this point, to our dreamscape. So to have Mars in that space is going to be very interesting for you over the next 7 months. Mars moves fairly quickly normally. However, in this particular trip around the zodiac, they're going retrograde in Gemini. And so from our perception, they're going to look as though they're going backwards and then forwards, spending a lot of time in Gemini. So Gemini, for you, 12th house unconscious, there's going to be some activations and some messages that are coming really quick and fast. I imagine that your dreamscape is going to be activated over the next 7 months in a way that is purely Mars, in that sort of warrior sense. Potentially, this square pressure. At the moment, it might feel like a pressure. Mars will move on and journey on, and that will be relieved from the moon. The moon moves very quickly, you know, so this moment at this moon, at this lunation, I'm explaining this to you just in case there is some push and pull between your unconscious and what you're needing to say. So I'll show you the tarot cards so that can pictorialize it, but the moon and the sun are at 4 degrees in Virgo, which is represented by the 8 of Pentacles, which is a card of rhythm, and it's a card of commitment and repetition and work ethic. So when it comes to your communicative abilities, this is where you're at. You're reading the books, you're going over the lessons, you're going over what you know so far in order to make room for the new and to edit. Virgo is very good at editing and picking out the details and working through what makes sense and what doesn't, as far as you can perceive. So this is a really nice energy to work with when we have Mars at 4 degrees in Gemini, which is the 8 of Swords. So potential anxiety. There might be some things that are cropping up for you in the unconscious that are sort of brewing to the surface, you know. You might feel trapped by them. You might feel a bit bound. And that's natural and that's okay. We're going to move from this energy. And if we can remember that this figure here is perceiving that they're trapped by swords, by thoughts, by repetitious anxiety, but they have everything that they need to set themselves free of that bondage. And really, if you look at it very closely, they're standing on water and earth. They're standing on clay, on Virgo. So we can use this energy of Virgo to help us through whatever it is that might be becoming a bit technicolor in your access to dreamscape or into your unconscious awareness, your sort of, your liminal is a good word for it. Liminal means the space between, you know, what's beyond that space that occupies both polar points. This is what's going on. We can work with this. It's going to be really great for you to have this activation in Dreamland, because I know that it has been peppered with some difficulty over this last bit of time. So let's work with this. Let's also pull you some intuitive tarot Cancer. So that was the astrology. That's your raison d'etre. That's your reason for lunation. You can activate grounded communication in a really simple terms. But what does Spirit want to say right now that we're in this fug? And I've created my PJ Harvey grotto for you to sidle up to, down by the water. 3 cards, please, Spirit, for my Cancers. Got 2. Great. Oh, and one more. I tell you, there's been some repetition in the cards, these readings, and this is really nice. This sort of, in a lot of ways, maybe after that Aquarius full moon, we're kind of in sync. I like that. We're all kind of coming together. You got the Page of Pentacles. You got the 3 of Cups. And you got the Moon. There's someone in your energy that was raised by wolves. There's someone in your energy that has a real access and understanding and knowing of earth, of pentacles, of groundedness. They've got skills, and they've got skills that they've intuited in some way. You know, we think of the moon energy, and look at this. There's the wild child, the redhead. There's the domesticated child, the puppy dog. But what's emerging here? What's coming up as the moon is in full glow? I wonder what might happen for you at this Pisces full moon that's coming up later. That could be an activation, because Pisces rules the 12th house of the unconscious, so anything could happen. But there's a reconciliation here and there's a celebration. So this is coming. This is an offer from this earth child. This is an offer of maybe a way forward in the way that you're communicating. And it's going to bring about some sort of reconciliation or celebration or connection to the third too. If we look at that third, three cups, third house. So this is about the way that you're communicating. This is about the way that you are going to communicate from now on. This is about using all of this intelligent, beautiful, grounded study and then coming to the wild child, what's in you already. And I think that Mars in the 12th will probably dig up some of that for you. What's innate in your energy, what you know already, is going to come bubbling to the surface. This is big stuff. This is ancestral stuff. This is past life stuff. This is unconscious world. This is connection to everyone and everything that exists in this space. It's good, isn't it? All right, Cancer, that's your reading. I love you very much. Do head over to umaruby.com if you'd like your birth chart read. I'm offering readings on Fridays and Saturdays, Australian time. Or you can also, there's a connection tab that I'd like you to just send me a message if you've got questions. If tarot was something that you'd be interested to learn, I'd like to know. And I'd like to know in what capacity. I'm expanding and branching out and moving through and wanting to develop some offers. So let me have it. Let me know what you want to know and I'll see what I can do. As I said before, I'll speak to you in 2 weeks for the full moon in Pisces. Until then, I love you, Cancer. You take care. Bye.